Welcome back to Blessed on Two Wheels. I'm Dennis.
And I'm Nestor.
Today we're going to cover something every rider faces, riding safety in two very different environments. You got the city streets and you got the highways.
Man, the dangers are different. The risks are different. And the way you protect yourself has to be different too.
We would like to thank one of our greatest supporters, the motorcycle safety lawyers. The motorcycle safety lawyers specialize in representing victims of motorcycle accidents. They also offer free services like insurance policy reviews and free case evaluations. Give them a call at 888-500-9000. Again, that is Motorcycle Safety Lawyers, 888-500-9000. Let's start with city streets. Statistics show that the majority of multi-vehicle motorcycle crashes happen at intersections. Cars making left turns in front of the riders is one of the top causes. I think it's the number one cause, personally.
Man, I had close calls with myself at intersections. People just don't see motorcycles. I don't get it.
Exactly. Yeah, in urban areas, riders face risks like left turning cars, pedestrians stepping into traffic, distracted drivers glued to their phones. I
Mm.
can't tell. It seems like every time I go past a car, the person driving is looking at their phone and doesn't even know what's going on in front of them.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, just with the phones. Cars pulling out of parked spaces without even looking.
yeah, the riders has to basically assume no one sees them.
That's right. Studies show that about 70% of urban motorcycle accidents involve another vehicle, usually because the driver didn't notice the motorcycle. So, some best practices for city riding: ride with high visibility, which remember we talked about in one of our previous episodes about lighting, right? Cover your brakes in traffic. Be ready to stop. Be aware. Stay out of blind spots. If you can't see the car, that person's face in their side mirror, they can't see you. So that means you're in their blind spot. Watch the wheels, not the cars. The first movement of the wheel tells you whether the driver's about to pull out or not. Don't look at the car itself, but focus on the wheels of the car. And if you look at the wheels, it'll give you a sooner indication of what they might do. Expect doorings, especially in narrow city streets. You know somebody, if somebody just pulled into a spot, you know they're getting ready to open their door, you know?
Yeah. No, I like that, especially the watch the wheels tip. You saved me a few times. Now let's talk about the highway. Seems safer in some ways because there are fewer stoplights, pedestrians, or parked cars.
You're right. Statistically, fatality rates per mile are slightly lower on the highways than on urban streets. But when highway crashes do happen, they often are much deadlier because of the higher speeds.
So it's lower frequency, but higher severity.
Exactly. The risks, I mean, at high speed, lane changes by cars without checking blind spots, tailgaters who don't realize bikes stop faster than cars, road debris, when a semi truck loses their tire, you got the tire tread out there, tools, ladders falling off of trucks or ladders in the street, in the highway. And another thing too is fatigue. Highway
Mm.
riding can kind of get you zoned out and get you in get you hypnotized sometimes. Best practice for highways include always keep a cushion 2 to 3 seconds behind cars, more if possible. Stay visible, reflective gear, lane positioning, auxiliary lights. Avoid the blind spots, like I said, especially next to trucks. Scan far ahead. At 70 miles per hour, you need extra reaction time. Take breaks. Avoid fatigue on long rides. Fortunately, we can only go about 200 miles and we got to get gas anyway. So it's not as bad for us.
One thing I'll add, don't hang out in the pack. Cars bunched together make it hard to escape if something goes wrong.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Giving yourself space is survival. And this is not to get off track, but I so I don't I don't drive like some of these guys on these. Nothing wrong with crotch rockets whatsoever. I love them. I've had plenty of them or whatever. But some of you see some of these guys in these crotch rockets, they're rolling down the road at 100 and 120, 130 miles an hour. To me, excessive speed is no good. But I do believe that traveling just a little bit faster than what the traffic is traveling is better. That's my opinion. I'm not telling anybody to speed. So don't get me wrong here, because that's not what I'm saying. But when it talks about being in a pack, I usually travel fast enough to get up and out and away from the pack. And once I'm out of the pack, then maybe I'll slow down a little bit, as long as I'm staying ahead of that pack. But I like having clear area around me all the time.
Absolutely. I concur with that. I mean, especially in a long trip, I would say I don't like to hang around next to cars, behind cars, or even in front of cars. If I see somebody tailgating me or somebody just, coming faster than where I'm going, and just like you, and I'm sure plenty of other people who go touring, I like to do a little more than the speed limit. I like to go 10 above. And sometimes there's always a car that's going to want to go faster than you are. And I simply move. I move out of the way. I come back to the lane after that person passes. Or if somebody's going too slow, I go around them safely, of course. Or, if somebody's traveling at the same speed that I am in the other lane, I let them go or I pass them. These are things that I've learned how to do and kind of like came to the realization of, kind of like a survival mode. Because, a lot of things can happen in a split second. You need to have time to move either out of the way or to an empty space. You have to have room to move pretty much. And people do get distracted. So
always have that exit route. Something that I've been doing, I don't know if I shared this with you, but in the city. So when I'm running down the road and I'm going straight and then I see a car that like wants to make a left-hand turn, I actually I kind of like weave my bike just a little bit left to right in my lane. I stay in my lane. I actually don't even go over to the other side of the lane, but I just kind of like move to the left, move to the right to make sure they see me. So same thing. If I see a car that's getting ready to make to pull out and make a right-hand turn and pull out in front of me, when I see that car pull up to that stop sign, I move myself left to right or right to left in the lane. I don't know if I shared that with you, but I've been doing that now for like a year, and I will definitely tell you that it definitely works, because I've seen where cars have like, you can tell, you watch the wheels. Oh, he's going. And then I wait, I like moved myself in and out, in the lane there, left to right, and then they stopped. So I know for a fact that it works.
Absolutely.
What about you? Do you do anything riding in town or on the highway that's different? Or
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, and I know you and I are a little different in this sense, but I like loud bikes. You see my Harley. My Harley is very loud. And I think that's something that you and I have always gone back and forth about, being noticed. And to me, besides a reflective gear, I feel like, uh, you know, people on the road should be able to hear you, since most likely they won't be able to see you. So I do have very loud pipes. So one thing I do, not a lot, but one thing I like to do when I'm, in a tight space, especially riding in the city, it's, I like to rev a little bit the motorcycle. So, it alerts others that, hey, I'm coming. Or, hey, move up. Or, hey, I'm here. I don't like to use the horn a lot because, well, maybe I should change my horn, but my horn is not that loud. So, that's part next upgrade. Next upgrade is going to be the horn for sure. But, I do have megaphones on my Harley, and those things are loud. I mean, you've heard them, but
yeah.
nonetheless, I think these are the certain things that you kind of like, put together in yourself, and you say, well, how can I be safer? How can I be more noticeable? How can be out there and not have to do extra stuff to stay safe? So these are little things that I learned also, while riding.
Yeah, well, they say loud pipes save lives. I don't have that choice. I have a Honda Goldwing.
We don't.
Nobody knows I'm coming. So it's like, I
Well, you
need to
did
get
have a
one of
rental
those.
one time. You did have a rental one time. I think it was an Indian.
Yeah,
And
yep, I
and
did.
even with that thing, I couldn't hear you, man.
Yeah, that thing wasn't very loud either. The Indian, yeah. And that was what was that? That was an Indian. Gosh, now I can't remember the name of it.
It wasn't the chief, Indian
No, it was
chief.
not a Chief. Well, I have used the Chief, but the
Oh no, you're
Challenger,
right.
the
The
Indian
Challenger.
Challenger, the
Yes.
Challenger. That bike is fast though.
Listen, it is, but I heard it has a delay on the throttle.
Well, the one that I rode didn't have a delay.
Maybe that one was fixed. One time I rode one in bye week, and that thing kept stalling on me as soon as I hit it. Like I hit it, and it had a delay, and then it went, and I'm like,
Well, it was
hmm.
probably in the wrong mode. It was probably an eco mode or something.
Probably, but
Yeah, because
I
they
don't know.
have on those, you can set it to eco mode, standard mode, touring mode, and sport mode.
Well, I
So
tell
that
you what,
maybe that's why
that unsold me from ever getting an Indian.
they should have put it in sport mode, and you probably would have bought one. So yeah, so let's bring in some numbers. According to the NHTSA, urban areas account for 60% of motorcycle crashes. Highways see fewer crashes overall, but the fatality rates are higher when they do happen. Largely because of the speeds are much higher. You're doing 70 miles an hour plus. Riders are 28 times more likely to die in a crash compared to car occupants, which we talked about in the previous episode. And that's whether in the city or on the highway.
So both environments have risk. City is about not being predictable. Highways are about speed and severity.
Exactly. They're just different dangers, but you still have the same need for awareness.
You know, one of my closest calls was actually on a quiet city street. A car just pulled out from between two parked SUVs without looking. And if I hadn't been covering the brakes, I wouldn't probably be in the ER.
Yeah, that's similar to the one you were talking about in the other episode too. Mine,
Mhm.
I was on I-95, and a truck blew one of those tires, and that tread come right out, and they call them gators, I guess. And it came
Mm.
right in my lane, and I was doing 70, 75 miles an hour, and I sure didn't have much time. But that's where it's so important that you have to look down the road. You got to look. You're doing 60, 70, 75, 80 miles an hour. The faster you're going, the further ahead you have to be looking, and you got to scan the road far ahead. But one of the things too is look at when you go to avoid a pothole or something that's in the road. Don't look at that item. Look at where you want the bike to go, because that's where you're going to go. If you continue to look at the item, the pothole, and you go to try to move the bike over to get around it, and you're still looking at the pothole, you're probably going to hit the pothole. So they say always look, turn your eyes to where you want the bike to go. So I just wanted to point that out. So I always got to say that every time I talk to somebody about that.
Absolutely. And, now that you're mentioning that, I remember a time where we were riding up north and we were in the turnpike actually. And I don't know why people think it's a great idea to put a mattress on top of a four-door car and tie it with something. Like, I don't know why they think that, but this person, listen, this person had two mattresses on top of his four-door Toyota Corolla, right? And I think they were zip ties. No, they were not zip ties. Bungee cords. Jeez, the worst idea ever. It bungee cord the whole thing, and we could see the mattress flapping. So we move because we don't want to be behind a car who's most likely going to drop one of those mattresses. Sure enough, we move. One of the mattresses comes out, hits the guy who was leading the ride in the head, in the helmet, and it threw all of us off. And we stopped. The mattress obviously fell. Thank God nobody went down.
Wow.
But if the guy who was leading that ride would not be paying attention to the road, because he kind of ducked when he saw the mattress flying his way, I think he wouldn't just fall on the road with that. I mean, those moments remind us why we're here, sharing this stuff so other riders can avoid becoming another statistic.
Yeah, that's true. I got hit by a bird once, and actually I have like the visor still where the bird hit, and there were feathers everywhere.
You got hit by a bird?
I
You know
had
what's
a
funny?
big
I
bird hit
actually,
me.
you know what's funny? I actually hit a bird too, but it was with my with the handguard of the motorcycle. So there was a roadkill, and I was going down south. There was a roadkill, and then when the birds see that you are coming, they usually spread. Well, this bird didn't want to spread; they wanted to keep eating the roadkill, and so I'm coming, and I see the bird in there, so I try to avoid it. But by the time the bird decided to fly out, it hit the handguard on my motorcycle, and I got AIDS. So it hit the handguard, and all you see after that was a ton of blood in the handguard. It broke my handguard. That's how hard it hit. broke the handguard. There was a bunch of blood, and my helmet got spread with blood too because of the bird. Obviously, the bird died in there, but these birds are vicious,
Nasty.
man. These birds are vicious.
Well, that's going to wrap up episode 6 on Blessed on Two Wheels. Riding in the city and on the highway are two different animals, but both require vigilance, awareness, and smart choices.
Yep. We hope today gave you practical tips you can use the next time you ride.
Yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. Until then, ride safe, ride smart, and remember, the life you save could be your own.
And remember, keep the rubber side down.